Shri Sai Tejasvi Academy. Namaste. Today we are continuing the series of video classes on economics for 12th standard. In that we are seeing money supply. Money and banking. So the third chapter in our book is money and banking. In that today policy tools to control money supply. We are going to see that. So now RBI is banker's bank, we are saying. This is the sole authority to control the economy. In the sense, how it controls the economy? By pumping in money and by taking out money. This is how it controls the economy. How it does? What are the various tools? How exactly this happens through RBI in an economy? We are going to see. Now, there is something called bond. It's an agreement. So, our government has given authority to RBI to buy bonds from government, buys government bonds. RBI buys government bonds. And whenever we buy something, we have to pay. Like that, RBI pays through check. So when RBI pays, money is pumped into the economy. Money supply increases. Now, when RBI wants to sell the bond, it has to get money. So it takes money from the bank or individuals or firms. So money supply is reduced. So when RBI buys, the money supply increases. When RBI sells, the money supply decreases. So now we'll see something called open market operation. Open market operation is what we have seen. This is open market operation. And when RBI buys or sells the bond, it is of permanent nature. It doesn't get it back. That is one type of open market operation. That is called outright open market operation. It doesn't, if once it sells, it doesn't buys back. Once it buys, it doesn't sell again. So that is called outright open market operation. There is one more thing. In case government buys the bond and specifies a date and price for which it will resell it, sell it again. That is called repo. That is called repo. And rate at which this happens is called repo rate. Very important. 2 mark question. So now, I told you buys. When the bond, RBI sells the bond or sells the agreement, whatever, so that it sells and it promises to buy it back at a later date on a specified price. That is called a reverse repo. That is called reverse repo rate. Here it is reverse repo rate. Okay. Now this is the thing. So now the rate at which this is done, I told you repo rate and reverse repo rate, when it can change. RBI has to change the rate, otherwise it cannot control the economy, money supply. Yes, so rate will change, it is left to RBI, it depends upon the situation. It can change overnight, it can change within the span of 7 days, every 14 days it can change, every 7 days it can change. It is completely the decision of RBI with reference to the economic condition, health of the country. So that is the open market operations. In this video, we will be covering open market operations. I have covered already. Transaction motive, speculative motive, supply of money and legal tenders. So before we proceed further, I would like you to subscribe to my channel, like and share it with your friends so that all are benefited. And if you have any suggestions to improve or any questions, you can always post in the comment section. So now we will move on to the next topic, transaction motive. Let us see the transactional motive. Okay, so transactional motive. What is a transaction? Money travels from one hand to another hand. It changes hands. I have money, I give it to somebody and buy goods. I give it to a firm, buy the product. So I give it to the shopkeeper. So the money moves from one place to another. So that is called transaction motive of money. So in that, how this happens? Let us see. Assume income of a person is rupees 100. Generally, we get the income at the start of the month. So he receives rupees 100 and he purchases the 100 rupees throughout the month. He spends, purchases the goods worth 100 rupees for the entire month. So what happens? Towards the month end, at the month end what happens? The money which he holds becomes zero. So the average cash holding will be 100 plus 0 by 2, 50. So that is called average transactional demand. Average transactional demand. So now this, like the example assumes there is no other person in the economy, only one person, one firm is there. Assume 2%, two people are there. This is with only one person. Now 2 persons, one worker is there, one firm is there. What happens? Start of the month, 100 rupees he has, worker has 100 rupees, he earns 100 rupees. And firm doesn't have any money at the start of the month. It doesn't have any income. It has not sold anything at the start of the month. Now, month end, the worker spends everything and the thing reaches, the worker has no money, it reaches zero. He has spent all these 100 buying product from the firm. So, firm has got 100 rupees. Now, average monthly holding of this worker will be, like we calculated, 100 plus 0 by 50, like this. 100 plus 0 by 2, is 50. Now, in case of firm, it will be 0 plus 100 by 2, that is also 50. So, average monthly holding will be 50 for the worker, 50 for the firm. Total transaction demand will be 50 plus 50, 100 will be the total transactional demand. Remember, the volume of transaction that has happened to the worker and the firm, total volume of transaction is 100 plus 100, 200. Total transaction that has happened is 200, but transaction demand is only 100. You have to understand this here. Now, transactional demand is represented by the symbol M. Transactional demand, MTD. Transactional demand, MTD. So, MTD will be, this will be the total volume of the transaction T, K. K times T. Okay. So, in this case, how much? K will be half. 1 by 2. So, that volume of transaction will be given, this K will go the same 1 by K of MDT. So, this is how the transaction of money happens in a 2% economy. Now, generally in an economy as it is not an Indian economy or any country, economy of any country is not concerned with 1% or either 2%. It is all told, we have studied GDP, right? So, in that case, what will be the transactional demand? Will be KPY, where Y is the real GDP and P will be the general price level. So this is the transactional motive. Have you understood? So we have seen transactional motive. Next we will see the speculative motive. Now we will see speculative motive. So take for example, there is a firm, it wants to do business and it wants to take loan for rupees 100. So this speculative money is typically related to share market. So you invest money in so many ways. Common way is you put in a bank or you invest in mutual bonds, you invest in shares. So which is beneficial? How we are going to speculate? All our aim is the money invested should fetch more money. By investing small amount, I have to get bigger amount. How much bigger I can get? How much more money I can earn? Through speculation. So that is speculative money. It is all related to share market. So now, example, we have taken the firm. It intends to get a loan of rupees 100. Now, this 100, it issues a bond. Okay? Reliance, it issues a bond. At the end of first year, rupees 100. At the end of second year, 10 plus 100. You have to invest. So, how much? Now, this is the case of bond. Now, we have to compare, we have to decide whether we have to invest money in this Reliance or I am well okay with if I invest money in a savings bank account. So, I invest rupees 10 at the start of first year in savings bank, 5% rate of interest, then amount of money I have to invest is, rate of interest is 5%, present value of that money will be 10 by 1 plus 5 by 100. This will be the present value of that money. Now present value of the money at the end of second year will be x plus y. Then second year I will be investing 10 plus 100. Yes? So that will become 10 plus 100 by 1 plus 500 whole square. Present value of the money will be 109.29. So if I am investing in bond, I have to invest 100 rupees, and if I am investing in bank, I have to invest 9 rupees more. 109.29 I have to invest. So which is better? Bond is better. So investing bond 100 rupees is better option than investing in your savings bank account. So this is speculative money. Next we will see about the supply of money. A small topic is left out in this, which will complete this third chapter, supply of money and legal tenders. Supply of money. So we will see the last concept in this chapter, third chapter, money and banking. So we will see some details about the money, some more details. So what is money basically? We have seen in detail what is money, what are the functions of money earlier videos. But bond is basically money. Money is just a paper. Whether it is 5 rupees or 100 rupees or 1000 rupees or 2000, it's just a paper. It doesn't have any intrinsic value. It is just a paper. But the difference is that paper and the ordinary paper, difference This money is guaranteed by Reserve Bank of India governor, RBI governor, promises to return the value of the money in exchange of that paper. So that gives the value to the money. That is called fiat money. That is called fiat money. No intrinsic value. Suppose if I have a gold coin, I have some intrinsic value. But the same size 1 rupee coin, 2 rupee coin, I don't have value. Except that money value it has. It is a legal tender. That means it is a legal tender. As different from check. Check is not a legal tender. It is a demand deposit. It is a demand deposit. When I produce check, I have to get money. That is, when I demand, they have to give money. That is demand deposit. It is not legal tender. This is legal tender. So now this is alternative measures of money. M1 will be currency notes plus demand deposits. Notes plus check will be, that check is also money. So that will be M1. M2 will be M1 plus I put some money in post office deposit. I deposit money. That is savings deposit. M2. M3 will be M1 currency demand draft plus net time deposit. I have a fixed deposit for 7 years, 2 years. So that will be M3. M4 will be sum total of all this one. Total deposits with me will be M4. So M1 and M2 is are called narrow money. M3, M4 are called broad money. Okay. So now we are saying about money. There is something called demonetization. Have you heard of it? Most of you would have heard about this. Most of you would have had a bad experience, I have to say, but it is good for the country. So, what is demonetization? Our Prime Minister of India in the year 2016 November suddenly government declared 100 rupees and 500 rupees and 1000 rupees notes is no more legal. It's not a legal tender. They have declared. Suddenly, everybody was having 500 and 1000 rupees notes. We could, the government gave us some time to, if it is legal money, we can give it to the bank and get it. The purpose of doing demonetization was to curb black market. So I am hoarding thousands of money in terms of old rupee notes, no use. It's just a paper, no money value. After demonetization, after certain, government gave some time period to do it. So after you do it, so after that, even if you have money, it's of no value. That means you are having black money. You are not ready to give it to the bank. So demonetization, that is called demonetization, and to protect the economy, to protect people, government RBI issued notes, new 100 rupees, 500, 2000 rupees notes, which were legal. This comes to the end of supply of money, legal tenders. We come to the close of the chapter, money and banking, and the next chapter we will be seeing very important chapter. So I will be covering the entire syllabus for CBSE 12th Standard Economics in this series. So don't miss any videos, and please see all the videos. As I was telling you, continuously consistently prepare for the exam, watch all the videos, and for that what you need to do, you need to subscribe to my channel if you have not done so till now. I hope this up to now the series is going on smoothly for you, and you are able to understand the concepts. If you have any doubt, you can always ask in the comment section. As always, you have been supporting. Please like, share the videos to your friends. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe. Thank you so much. We will see in the next chapter, chapter 4. Thank you.